in that first year of the podcast, I made more money from the podcast than I had made in any one of my single radio careers. It was amazing. And we started helping all these other people start podcasts. And at some point, Callie said, you've got to start charging people for that.
What happens when one of Atlanta's most recognizable radio voices meets one of the most trusted operators behind the scenes of major news organizations like CNN? You get Jeff and Callie Dollar. This one's not just about what they built, it's how they think and how they help shape Retire Southern with a little nudge from my wife, Amanda. Before we start with careers and your pivot, I just really want to start with how'd you guys meet? Let's start there.
We met on Twitter. And I worked in radio and Callie worked in music. So she sent me a message and said, hey, I think we should know each other.
The way he used to tell the story is that he wasn't going to go to that event, but he found out that I was going and he was like, oh yeah, I'm totally going to that event.
I loved your opening, by the way. This is going to completely drop a bomb on it. But you were like, and they've pivoted their whole life.
Before we start with careers and your pivot.
No, I got fired. So
it's a really kind way to say that,
I was trying
James.
to be nice.
So I had 6 months worth of paychecks, and I said to Callie, let's try to create a podcast and see what we can do with it. And it took off. We launched in the end of July, and by October, we were completely sold out of ad inventory through the entire following year.
You guys did have this hyper successful podcast, right? Yeah. Number 6 on the planet. Why did you shift away from that to start consulting? Tell that story.
So we did a daily podcast, which is a lot.
Do not recommend.
Do not recommend. Would not tell anyone to do it. It's very hard. And we also, in the time that our podcast was around, had 2 children. So we would try to record our podcast at night. Our oldest daughter was in an accident and we were sitting at the ER and we're holding her and we were figuring out how we were going to tackle our podcast the next day. And Jeff said, you know what? I'm done. This is not working. That is not the life that we want. And it's not the parents we want to be.
There was so much that I learned from working with you two, and I obviously don't want to give away the story, but so if someone out there listening wants to engage, like how do they engage with you guys? What does that look like? Can you talk a little bit about that?
So question number 1 would be, I'm going to use pizza. I always use pizza as my example.
You like cheese, yeah.
Yeah. Question number 1 is, if I'm going to start a podcast about pizza, what do I want people to do? So do I want them to buy my pizza cookbook? Do I want them to book me as the number 1 authority on pizza? Or do I want to start my own line of sauce? Whatever that is, you need to make sure that every episode you create has some value to accomplish that goal.
You can't look at something that you're too close to objectively. Sometimes you need, and it just helps to have someone be like, oh, this is your idea? What about this? What about this? What about this? And then you're like, okay, I knew I wasn't crazy.
So I remember when James had when he was going to have his first consultation with you guys, and he was like so excited. Please keep in mind that I told you about them long before you went and saw them.
Side note.
Right, side note. But he was so excited, and I remember when he came home, because exactly what you guys are saying is what I saw. Like, he was so re-inspired and just hyper-focused with a new way to look at things. I remember the conversations where he was all over the place, and everybody was like, what are you doing? And he was like, I'm doing this, and I wanted to do it for everybody, and I wanted to do all these things. And then he met with you guys, and you really helped him figure out what are you trying to do?
Yeah, I can honestly say that working with you guys, with Webster Pond, really did make a big impact on the way I think and approach this whole world. You guys have provided a lot of purpose and clarity to what I do, so I just want to thank you. Read, watch, or listen now on Retire Southern or wherever you get your podcasts.